What's poppin', y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So we have something we're gonna talk about today. We will be talking about the Oxfield High School tragedy and what happened today, because I didn't know that it happened until I woke up at least 7 o'clock and checked my email. It was either 7, because it's 8 now, so let me go into my little. It was at 5:28. I didn't wake up till 7. And then I had to open my email because my teacher had emailed me back. And then I had to read it. So we will be discussing the topic. And then, yeah. But before we start, I'm doing a little vlogmas on my little channel. I'm going to be doing a vlogmas for Christmas. And I'm going to be doing it from, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the 1st to the 25th. So I will have 25 days to basically, start it. Sorry, guys, I had to do something, but we're going to get into it now so y'all can listen and take notes.
Oakland County Sheriff's Office. You're in Oxford Township right now. Of course, that's the Meyer across the street, and behind that is the high school, Oxford High School. So with me right now is Tim Throne, the superintendent of Oxford Schools. John Lyman, he's the PIO for all the fire departments that are here. We have Major Curtis Childs from our department. We have Tim Waters, the special aide in charge of the Detroit office, all of Michigan. Major Chris Wondrich over there. So I'll just give you a quick brief, and I'll answer whatever questions I can answer, and we'll ask for comments or anything the chief can fill us in about EMS and all that. Around 12:51 today, we received a 911 call of an active shooter at the high school. Deputies immediately responded, and we received over 100 911 calls into our dispatch center, over 100. The deputies took a suspect into custody within 5 minutes of the original 911 call. They recovered a handgun from the suspect. The suspect fired multiple shots. There's multiple victims. It's unfortunate that I have to report that we have 3 deceased victims right now who are all believed to be students. We have 6 others that were shot. One
So they said shots were fired and there were victims. Yes, there were victims. There were 3 killed, 8 injured. Because one of them was a teacher. If the teacher didn't get injured, it would have been 7. But since the teacher got injured, it was 8. So, with that being said, it's paused right now, I think. So, I might continue. But before it do, yes, there was a handgun and the person fired, I think it was 15 to 20 shots. So everyone knew, not knew, but it was like social media drama, of course. So with that type of like thing going on, I think it's like the first in Michigan. Now
we have 6 others that were shot. One was a school teacher. They're all at local hospitals being treated. Multiple shots were fired. He did not give us any to Pontiac for potential. He's already invoked his right to not speak. So he wants an attorney. He's not telling us anything at this point in time. It's a very tragic situation, obviously. We will brief you again later, maybe around 5 o'clock. We can give you ages of the victims, conditions of the victims, where they live, things of that nature. behind us in the mire. They've closed the store down for us and helped us with reunification with the parents. We got a lot of upset parents wanting to know what's going on with their kids. There was an orderly evacuation. The school did everything right. Everybody remained in place. They barricaded themselves. And Tim here has done a great job in terms of preparing. You never want to prepare for something like this, but you have to. And the school district's done a wonderful job preparing. All the doors over there are marked at the high school. If you've seen them, deputies responded. They knew where to go. We've had assistance from other police agencies nearby, Lapeer County Sheriff, Oxford Police Department, other local police departments. The response has been overwhelming. We're still doing a secondary and we're doing a third search of the high school just to make sure there's no other victims out there. If there's anything else I missed, I can answer. I will answer, and I'll defer.
Can you tell us, was this a student?
Yes, it's a 15-year-old student who was a sophomore at the high school.
As he said before he invoked attorney, did he say anything about what precipitated this?
I'm not going to get into that.
Okay. Was there any warning, Mike, ahead of time? Was there any messaging? Did he put out any?
Were there any messaging? Yes, social media is a thing. Like, of course, there's going to be messaging. And yeah, they did disclose his age. Once I heard 15, my face shriveled up a little bit because I was like, oh, oh, oh. He's 15 and he's going around killing people. Do he have a motive to why he shot all these people, killed 3, injured 8? Like, do he have his motive? And I don't think he do, but they are updating us at 10 o'clock about it, so we might as well stick around because, yeah, they're going to update us, basically, because they're going to the precinct where he is. So let's just keep watching.
That's all under investigation at this time. We have literally probably 100 different detectives and support out here right now. We're going to talk to everybody. We're going to go through everything. But at this point in time, I can't tell you that we have that or we don't have that.
Any reason to believe the initial victims were targeted directly, or was it random?
Don't know at this point in time. Still under investigation.
Has notification been made to parents yet, or do parents still not know?
I believe all the parents know, but I can't say that for certain, but I believe they do.
So you're saying 3 deceased, how many injuries?
We have 3 deceased, 6 others that were shot. One of the 6 is a teacher.
One of the witnesses I talked to said she heard shots, it paused, she heard shots again. Do you have any idea how long he was in the school?
He fired multiple shots, I can tell you that. We've recovered multiple shell casings in the school. Somewhere in the area, obviously, with that many people shot, we're thinking, 15 to 20 shots that were fired.
So what kind of weapon was used?
How long was he?
It's a handgun.
How long was he in the school?
It's a semi-automatic handgun. That's all I can tell you at this point.
Did he have more than one magazine?
I'm not going to get in. Obviously, if he fired up multiple shots, more than 15, he'd have more than one magazine. Yes. Deputies took him into custody. They responded. I can't tell you the exact circumstances of how that occurred, but deputies confronted him. He had the weapon on him. They took him into custody.
In the school?
Yes, sir.
Was it the child that had the issue last week, a couple weeks ago back with the deer head?
I'm not aware of that, so I can't answer that.
Was this over the course of like 15, 20 minutes? Do we know how long?
5 minutes. The whole thing lasted 5 minutes.
Was it a classroom or in a common area?
I'm not sure on that. I'll have to get back to you again. We'll do another briefing later on when we get more details.
Superintendent, any indication that he was targeting a certain room for these students and the specific teacher?
I can't tell you that because I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
We told us a lot and we appreciate it.
Okay.
Can we talk to the superintendent for a moment, please?
That's up to Tim.
I really don't have anything. I really don't have anything more to say other than that you certainly can pray for our families here in Oxford and our students. I'm learning information
Wait, so why didn't they have metal detectors in the school? Because some schools have metal detectors to where when they're like coming through, you could check the kids' bags and stuff, and if they do have like a weapon and stuff in there, it will automatically go off because, of course, it's a metal and guns are, like pure metal. So I'm like, okay, they need metal detectors and stuff, and yeah, the parents were aware of what was happening because the same thing happened at the school John Glenn that's in Westland when someone brung like I guess like two people brung like fake Nerf guns to school. They thought it was real ones. And those two or three kids got away. So it's like they did a high alert on that. Everyone was texting their parents and they loved them and stuff just in case it was an actual lockdown and they had real guns. So I'm like, okay, y'all should have did this for Oxford. And now a huge tragedy just happened that's shocking both towns of Wayne Westland and Oakland County. So it's like pretty bad. But let's continue.
Information real time, just as you all are. So I really don't have any more info to add.
Can you shed any light on who the student is, a 15-year-old?
I can't know.
What's your reaction to this?
Oh, of course, I'm shocked. It's devastating.
Superintendent, can you say and spell your name, please, sir?
Tim Throne, Throne.
So you had a lot of things in place. One point of entry when school is open. These students get ALICE training as well. I know that students and teachers are, or rather teachers are able to communicate with one another. You also have this point of safety that you're able to get students to as well. Can you talk to me about why you didn't have metal detectors?
No,
Okay,
that's my answer to your question. No,
okay. Is that something that's ever come up?
not that I can recall. No.
Do you have any background information on the student? Have there been any issues with this student prior to today?
Not yet.
You know who the student is.
We don't know the name. I don't know the names of the victims yet.
Yeah.
I don't know that the family's been contacted yet.
Okay.
So we still got our homework to do.
Certainly.
Let us go
course you
do
do.
it, and
Yeah,
we'll
no,
come
of course
back
you
to
do,
it.
and we know that this is difficult, so we appreciate you talking. So one other thing,
Thank you, Tim.
Superintendent, can you tell us if there are any plans for tomorrow?
Does anybody have?
Can you tell-
I'll let you know as soon as I get back and have a chance to talk with my team. What time is it right now?
Quick question.
2:30.
So if they're going to do another interview at 5, we'll let our families know by 5 what the plans for tomorrow are.
Okay, thank
We
you.
appreciate
Okay, I
it.
got John Lyman here speaking for all the fire departments, and he'll tell you what resources were brought here.
Chief, can you say your name and spell everything for us?
John Lyman, Lyman. I'm the public information officer. I work for Rochester Hills Fire Department.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So we were dispatched along with the PD and the sheriff's office We had about 25 agencies that responded, close to 60 ambulances. We had a couple of helicopters land also. We did transport those 6 patients. The number I'm not totally for sure on, but we did transport multiple patients to area hospitals.
Gotcha. And that's how many units?
We had close to 60 units that were dispatched here.
So you called for mutual aid, obviously.
Obviously, yes.
And so you brought in those many units. Why?
Well, we didn't know how many victims we had originally, so you just start bringing everybody in.
I was going to say, can you describe your procedures? What kind of a playbook you pull out for a day like today?
Well, we do practice that, and we worked with the sheriff's office very closely on this type of incident. So the idea of bringing up units from multiple departments and private agencies that's pretty much a standard. We practice for that.
And you handle fire as well as EMS response?
Are they still?
Everyone is out.
Do you handle fire as well as EMS response?
Yes.
Response?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
And it's in a fluid situation like this. You really don't know what you're going to find.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
So how do you and your personnel handle a case like this today?
Well, we run the incident command system, a unified command system with the sheriff's office, and then units are dispatched and brought up, and then there's more than that. Even there's other emergencies going on at the same time, and so our guys have got to be prepared for that and got to move up from those other departments, and they're covering other areas too. So the incident command structure does work, and that's what we're working with planning.
Undersheriff, I do have one other question
Yes.
for you. Obviously, this is still under investigation. What are you looking for? I'm sure you're trying to figure out if this person was acting alone, if there are others. Give us.
At this point in time, we believe he acted alone. There's no other shooters. There's no other gunmen. We don't believe anybody at this point in time, pending further investigation, that he planned this with anybody else. But we will be doing social media checks. We will be talking to all students, as many as we can that were here today. That's why we have so many officers here and detectives here, so that everybody and anybody can be talked to that has any knowledge of him or what he was going to do, or after the fact.
You mentioned the FBI is here.
Yes, Tim.
Would you please step up, sir?
Yeah.
Identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Tim Martin, Special Agent Charge here at the FBI in Michigan.
And what's your role in this?
Yeah, at this point, we deployed out here as soon as the incidents like this are tragic. Obviously, we're here to support the Oakland County Sheriff's.
Like bothering me because they should have known like this was going to happen a lot sooner before it even happened. Like if there was a kid who knew that something was going to go down and he didn't get up and go to school, but he actually got ready to go save one of his friends, which I give him respect for that because your friends comes first. If you see your friend as a family member or see him as like someone that could be a potential family member, you will always run to the rescue, and that's huge respect there. So let's continue and with y'all see.
Sheriff's office and the local police departments out here with anything they need at this point. That's the extent of our participation.
So you've heard what everyone else has said. Is there anything else that you're able to add to
No.
that? In other words, what are you looking for? What are the things that you're trying to find out?
Yeah, we're going to plug in with these folks. We're going to provide any assistance that they request of us at this point. We have victim services, plenty of resources we can bring to bear if needed. But Oakland County is a very well-resourced county, and I'm sure that that they have the tools they need. But we're here to help if needed. That's all I have right now.
You could also help to figure out if there were any warning signs with this 15-year-old.
Yeah, listen, we're gonna look at everything. We're gonna assist as part of the investigation, and we'll just one step at a time. That's all I have right now.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you all.
Okay, yes.
Do you have any information on the gun? Where he student got the gun?
We don't have any of that information at this point in time.
Could I trouble you to please reiterate one more time when he was initially confronted and gave up, or what?
The call, first call, my information is the first call came in at 12:51. Within 5 minutes, he was in custody by our deputies.
Is his locker been put through and any other weapons?
There's no other weapons that we're aware of. That's
Are
correct.
there any police liaison officers at this?
There's a
school?
deputy assigned to the high school full time. Yes,
One of yours?
he was one of the deputies that helped take him into custody,
So
and
he
another deputy.
So he
Are you
was
aware which hospitals the victim was transported to?
Various hospitals. I prefer not to say what hospitals they went to, just in case.
Were there any shots fired at the officers?
No, he gave up without any problems.
I'm sure if you know what he was wearing, did he have body armor or anything on or normal clothes?
There's no indication he's wearing body armor. No,
Was he injured in the
he's not injured.
And obviously no indication of how he got the gun in there yet.
We know, but I'm not going to say right now.
And no indication from other students of previous threats that you know
That
of?
they're all being interviewed now, so I can't say. I'm sure that will come out later.
Any word on
Okay,
connection
folks.
with the,
I'm sorry?
gearhead? Any connection with the severed gearhead that was found a few weeks ago?
I have no idea about that. I'm not familiar with that.
Thanks, Undersheriff.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
be back
Thank you.
maybe around
Information.
Around
5
5
o'clock.
o'clock?
We'll give you more update around 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Thank you
All right,
so
we'll look for
very
you
much.
then.
All right.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank
all.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
So while we wait for that to load, they did say they're going to do a little briefing at 10 o'clock, but this one was from 3 hours ago. So this was like,
and as the investigation continues to unfold,
Let's take a minute to load. They did say they are going to do a briefing at 10 o'clock about the issue and stuff. So I'm just going to play. This is from like 3 hours ago. So I'm just play like some of this because I have to, like, after it's done, find the next one that will give the update. So while we wait, it's 9:47 now. Y'all can tune into this.
Oxford following. And
Another
we're
even
gonna
more
go
detailed
now
briefing
to
tonight
the
at 10 o'clock.
latest
Quarters in
update. Here's
Pontiac.
Mike McCabe.
Telegraph, the governor here, Chief Lyon, retired chief from Waterford, now works for Rochester Hills Fire Department. Major Childs, Major Snary's here. FBI was here. U.S. Marshal, ATF was here. Just to tell you, some of the departments that have assisted us were the Southfield PD, Troy PD, Bloomfield Township PD, Michigan State Police, Oxford Village, FBI, U.S. Marshal, huge amount of fire departments, Lapeer County Sheriff's Office. So as I told you earlier today, we about 12:51, we had over 100 911 calls into our dispatch center of an active shooter at the Oxford High School, which is right across the way there. You've all seen it. Deputies responded within 5 minutes, had the suspect in custody. He did not cause any problems. He gave a weapon up. He did have a weapon on him at the time. It was a semi-automatic handgun. He fired multiple shots. We have updated information on the number of deceased. It is 3. We have 3 students, a 16-year-old male, a 14-year-old female, and a 17-year-old female. We also have 8 others that were shot in various stages at 3 different hospitals: McLaren Lapeer, McLaren Pontiac, and St. Joe's in Pontiac. The 2 people are currently in surgery, do not have their condition. The other 6 are all in stable condition with various gunshot wounds. The suspect, like I said, 15 years old, student of Oxford High School, lives in the village of Oxford. And if there's, Governor, if you want to say anything, and then I'll take any questions after that.
Well, I just appreciate the quick response of all of our first responders. My heart goes out to the families. This is an unimaginable tragedy. I hope that we can all rise to the occasion and wrap our arms around the families, the affected children and school personnel, and this community. It is an unimaginable tragedy, and just I just wanted to be here because I think this is an important for us to support one another, to support this community, and I want to thank our first responders again.
Take limited questions. Again, we'll have much more detail tonight at 10. I can tell you we're still actively working the scene. Our forensic lab is here, multiple detectives. We had over 100 sheriff's deputies and patrol cars and unmarked cars respond, plus a huge amount of patrol cars from other area agencies that I listed prior to this.
Anything new on motivation?
I'm sorry, sir?
Anything new on what might have motivated?
We don't have a motive at this point in time. We are still investigating that.
Mike, what do you know about possible warning signs we're hearing from students and parents?
We're hearing all kinds of rumors about warning signs. I can tell you that we have a school liaison deputy that's assigned to the high school. I'm not aware of, and we are not aware of any warnings. If there were, I can tell you we work very closely with Tim Thurl, the superintendent, the principal at the school. If there were, I got to believe they would have told us. There's all kinds of stuff out on social media. Please don't believe everything you hear and see on social media. I've seen one shot of something about allegedly the shooter warning people not to come to school today, but that was somebody got it from somebody. So please be careful with that information. There's a lot of, because of social media, there's a lot of stuff out there. I can't confirm whether it's true or not. Ultimately, we will get to the bottom of this. We're executing a search warrant at the suspect's house. As I said, he's not cooperating with us at this point in time.
So you contact with the parents? Can you say what they are talking about yet? Have you had a chance to talk?
We have talked to the parents, and all I can tell you is they didn't want to talk to us, and they've hired an attorney.
Was the student in class today?
Yes, he was in class today. Yes. The shooting happened in the school. Most of the shootings, my understanding, is in the south end of the school. I can't tell you specifically if it was in a classroom, or we will have more detail for you at 10 o'clock tonight.
Do we know the students have shot? Were they in the hallway in the classroom with them? Do we know any more details on where
I
they
can't
were?
tell you that because I don't know.
Targeted specifically?
We don't know if they were targeted. We will get to the bottom of that as we get further into this investigation.
Whose weapon was it?
I'm sorry? Absolutely. I can tell you, Oxford Community Schools and our office have trained multiple times on active shooters. The school district's been very good in training their personnel and their students on active shooters.
I think it's too
Please
early.
step up to the mic, Governor.
I think it's too early to talk about policies that might need to change as a result of this. We're relying on law enforcement to share information as it is available, but at this point, I think we need to focus on the tragedy at hand in the moment.
How did you hear about this, Governor? Can you just talk to us about when you heard about this?
My team has been in communication with Dave Coulter and leadership here in Oakland County, the Sheriff's Office, Michigan State Police. And so I heard pretty quickly, but obviously we've been monitoring it, not having a lot of information. And so appreciate the work that they're doing to keep us all informed.
We have seen these in other states and other parts of the country. Now it's here. What does that say?
This is a uniquely American problem that we need to address, but at this juncture, I think we need to focus on the community, the families, supporting all the first responders, including the incredible people at our hospitals that are working so hard to save the lives of those who are fighting for their lives right now.
And I can tell you're so, as you should be. You're a mom and you're a human being. You're so deeply affected by this. Talk to us about that.
I think this is every parent's worst nightmare.
Mike, you're still working the scene of the school.
Correct.
Chances are school will not be held there tomorrow or anytime soon, correct?
I got to believe school's not going to be in session tomorrow. That's correct.
Yeah, you have a big scene.
That is correct. We've done 3 sweeps of the high school to make sure that there's no other victims or anything else that we need to be aware of. But it's a fairly large crime scene. Like I said, our forensic lab is here processing the scene. I can tell you that all parents and relatives have been notified of the deceased and of everyone that is that was shot, and the deputy's been assigned to each and every family.
Do you know the age of those victims?
Yes, I know, but I'm not going to say at this point in time.
You said you talked to the parents of the shooter.
Very briefly.
Are they cooperating?
Well, and that they came and saw their son at our Oxford Township substation and then left.
And said, and they told him not to speak to police.
That's correct, which is his right.
But that would also indicate not a willingness to cooperate this time.
Well, at this time, who knows what the future brings.
He's in Pontiac now, is that correct?
He's at Pontiac Children's Village. He's 15 years old, so he's lodged as a juvenile at this point in time. He could be charged as an adult. Again, that's totally up to the Oakland County prosecutor's office.
How would you characterize the parents? Were they cooperative?
You know,
I taking any of your questions?
I can't say I wasn't there. I can just tell you they came to the substation. They met their son. They told us that they would not let him talk. We have to, in a juvenile, we have to get permission from the parents or the guardian of that juvenile in order to speak to them. And we did not get that.
2 letters sent home to parents this month regarding other threats. Any indication that they're tied together?
No, there's no indication that. I know a question came up earlier about a deer head incident. This is absolutely unrelated. That was a different incident, a different student.
Any indication that this shooter was bullied in school?
No indication at this point in time, but you know, it's ongoing, so I don't know.
Do you know whether or not this is a student who had contact with discipline?
I got 2 talking at once.
What is the school going to make sure guns aren't getting in? How might that have broken down?
Well, we have a deputy assigned to the school full-time, obviously. Not all schools have metal detectors. They have one entrance. This school district has taken great care, in my opinion. I live here. I live about 1.5 miles from here. I can tell you, I know the superintendent personally. He has been very proactive in terms of trying to protect the school district. So I think they've done everything they can. Should every school and every building have metal detectors? You know, it's very expensive, but I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Was the deputy on duty the one who actually?
Hang on, you go next.
How much ammunition do we have on?
He fired multiple shots, somewhere in the area of 15 to 20 at this point in time.
Undersheriff, do you know whether or not this is a student who had contact with discipline in the past with this school system?
I don't know that.
Was it a ghost gun?
What, ghost gun?
A gun that was
No,
made,
no,
registered?
no. I can tell you it was not.
Was it
I can't say. I can just tell you it's not a ghost gun.
Was it within the
registered to
family?
a family member?
I'm not going to get into that at this point in time.
Was the deputy assigned to the school the one who apprehended
The
him?
deputy and another deputy who also responded were the ones that took him into custody.
And you said that was all within 5 minutes.
My information is from the time the first call came in to the time he was taken into custody was 5 minutes, approximately 5 minutes. We had over 100 911 calls come into our 911 center.
And having said that, can you characterize if they had not intervened within that 5 minutes, this could have been a lot worse and he could have kept shooting perhaps?
You know, I don't know if he ran out of bullets or not at this point in time, so I don't want to speculate. I'm sorry, say it again.
Did the assigned deputy, the full-time deputy, encounter the shooter inside the building when it happened?
He and another deputy took him in custody in the building. Right.
Oh, what about the 6 that are injured? How have you got any updates on their?
I've just got the 2 are in surgery. We don't know their condition, and 6 are in stable condition. There are a total of 11. 3 dead, 8 shot.
8 shot.
Correct. Yeah, updated from the last time we were here. Correct.
Do you know if there's surveillance video in the school that might assist?
There is a lot. The school district does a great job with cameras. There are multiple cameras that detectives are going to have to. They're here to give us all the support we need. As you know, the Special Agent in Charge Waters was here earlier, and they will give us technical assistance in terms of, we've got social media searches, we have potential cell phones. There are 1,800 students to go to this high school. Okay, I'm not saying all 1,800 were here today, but we have to interview each and every one if they have any knowledge whatsoever.
Do you have any information on the makeup of the 11 injured between teachers and students?
One teacher, the rest are students.
Sheriff, I assume that you're also looking for information from the public, anybody who's had contact with this young man or anybody. So why don't you make your plea to the public?
But yeah, please, if anybody has any information, you can call the Sheriff's Dispatch Center at 248-858-4911. That's 248-858-4911.
What kind of information are you looking for from the public?
Any information they may have, if they've heard, if they know anything at all about this young man or what was going to happen or what happened today, they can call.
Is your knowledge, is this suspect had any prior run-ins with law enforcement?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Thanks, Undersheriff.
Okay. All right. We'll be 10 again. 10 o'clock.
Here?
No, Sheriff's headquarters in Pontiac, 38 East, building 38 East, 200 North Telegraph. It'll be a lot warmer because we'll be inside.
Okay, guys, so that was the end of that video. Now I'm finna go and look for the update on the tragedy, and I'm going to share that with y'all. So it's going to take me maybe like a minute or two or three or whatever to find it. So yeah. So see y'all. So I just found the update video, like the live. So I'm finna now share it for y'all to watch. So there y'all go. Oh, so long. Oh, guys. So I'm gonna share the next one, and then y'all just watch.
Deploying throughout the building and searching for additional assailants, because obviously at that point we didn't know if it was one or multiple assailants,
while rescuing victims with the assistance of our partner fire service agencies. Internal and external command posts were established. Secondary searches were conducted along with securing the inside and outside perimeters. The FBI and MSP bomb squad responded to assist, and they checked the package that my K9 unit, our explosive unit, had alerted to. More than likely, the suspect had his weapons in that bag. There was nothing else in that bag that was dangerous. Our Office of Special Investigations and our forensic lab is currently processing the scene, which is expected to take many, many hours and go all night long. I'm extremely proud of the deputies, our partners, the fire departments and EMS for their intervening actions. As I mentioned, I believe they literally saved lives, having taken down the suspect with a loaded firearm still in the building. I also want to underscore the impact on our team and any team that faces something like this, and how proud I am of them and anyone else in these situations. One of our deputies, because of the severity of wounds, loaded up one of the children in his car, and sadly that child died in the car. One of our employees who was in the 911 center as part of the team taking the emergency calls had a relative killed in the attack. And so this touches us all personally and deeply, and will for a long time. This wound will never go away. And we understand that, but we also want the community to know that we're here for them, and we will leave no stone unturned in determining all the things that led up to it and making sure that this investigation is full and complete before it's turned over to hold this individual accountable. As of right now, we have tragically lost 3 students, a 16-year-old male. The names, you'll have the names of the deceased. Families have been notified. He died in the patrol car on the way to the hospital. 14-year-old female and a 17-year-old female. Another 8 people were injured, 7 students and 1 teacher. Victim number 4 is a 15-year-old male. He's in critical condition with a gunshot wound to the head. Victim number 5 is a 14-year-old male with serious condition, jaw and head gunshot wounds. Number 6 is a 17-year-old female. She's stable with a neck gunshot wound. A 15-year-old male, excuse me, stable with a gunshot wound to the leg, the left leg. A 17-year-old male, stable condition with a hip gunshot wound. A 47-year-old teacher who has been thankfully discharged. She had a left shoulder gunshot wound that appears to have been a grazing wound. Tragically, we have a 14-year-old female who is in critical condition with chest and neck gunshot wounds, and she's currently on a ventilator after surgery. So it's looking very tough for this young girl. Our 11th victim, excuse me, is a 17-year-old female. She's in critical condition with a chest gunshot wound as well. There were multiple non-threatening life injuries from students as they were rushing out of the building, obviously evacuating. They got hurt. Most of them were treated and released at a predetermined staging area. And our thanks to Meyer for assisting with that and being involved in reuniting students with their parents. On-scene counseling with our chaplains was made available to the staff students and certainly the families. And I have assigned a deputy to each of the victims' families to be with them as long as necessary so that they ensure they get the information they need, the comfort they need, and the protection they deserve. As I mentioned, we have the suspect in custody. He's a 15-year-old male sophomore, a resident of Oxford Village. He was not injured, and he's currently lodged at Children's Village on campus here on homicide and attempt homicide with the approval of the on-duty probate court referee. We cannot identify him at this point because he's a juvenile and he has not been charged as an adult, so there's no ability to identify him at this point. With his parents present, he declined to speak, and they have hired an attorney, so there is no conversation that's going on and no cooperation at that level. Preliminary investigation revealed that the weapon used in this shooting was purchased on November 26th, 4 days ago, by the boy's father. The gun had 15-round magazines. We found 2 of them. There allegedly was 3 that was purchased, and he had the crime scene unit. Our forensic lab is on scene, obviously processing a huge crime scene. More than likely that 3rd magazine will be found there. At least 12 rounds, we know that's a preliminary number based on casings observed on the ground and part of the active scene that they're now processing. So there's a lot of stuff that we've seen on social media and different chatter and different rumors. I would just caution people to not spread stuff unless it comes from us, because some of the stuff we've seen has absolutely no connection or relevance to this case. And it's hurtful to the community and the families that see some of that. So with all of that, and we'll release as much information as we can, as soon as we can, that won't jeopardize any potential prosecution. I'm joined by a specialist that was from McLaren, Oakland. She can answer, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Dr. Gardner. Can answer any questions as it relates to medical issues or conditions. Congresswoman Slotkin and County Executive Coulter have joined us and have been super supportive of our efforts today. And thank you for being here. So with that, I guess I'll throw it open to questions, and I'll answer what I can, but frustrating to you, I'm sure we're not going to completely divulge our case because it's an ongoing case.
Can you tell us anything about what you found at his house?
I don't think they've done an inventory of that. The search warrant was executed at the suspect's home. I know that we have seized a phone, and we're in the process of examining whatever was seized.
Were there any threats made by the same man prior to the incident that led maybe this would happen?
There was nothing that came to us about prior concerns or threats. And that's part of the investigation, that we have hundreds of people working.
Is this his first year attending Oxford High? Did he go to a different school before? I know kids were out due to COVID last year.
He's a sophomore. I honestly don't have the answer whether he was there as a freshman. We can try to run that down for you.
Did the suspect surrender to officers as they approached him, or how did they apprehend him?
As they were coming down the hall, they saw him, and he put his hands up, and they took a gun and took him into custody.
Did he say anything?
No.
Do you have any indication why the father bought a gun 4 days ago?
As I said, they're not talking to us.
Sheriff, you mentioned a social media post. There appears to be one that we've seen that appears to come from the suspect with a picture of a gun posted. Can you tell us about that at all?
It's my understanding, again, that this was a recent weapon purchase, that he had been shooting with it and had posted pictures of a target and the weapon. That's all part of what's being looked at. We're going to do a deep dive on the social media and all the activities of this young man.
But the gun that you did describe appears to be the same weapon that was.
It does appear to be so, yes.
Did the shooting start in a classroom
classroom spill out into the hallway, or was the student in class, or did he just?
The problem for us is we can't be too specific on that because they're just now getting into processing. So, we'll learn more as they process the scene of where maybe it started. We also have a tremendous amount of video footage that will be in the school. Oxford's very proactive with cameras, so our detectives are going to have to really deep dive all of those video cameras and review exactly what and where and when. The only information I had is that he came out of a bathroom with the weapon, and I don't know where he went first. So,
Hey, Sheriff, just to be clear on the social media, just once more, some students have said that they had seen some threats on social media, and some had reported those to authorities. Can you say whether that happened or not?
well, I would love them to contact us because we got none of it. I can tell you that nothing came to the sheriff's office and nothing came to our school liaison in the school.
Are you familiar with the school sending out an email assuring school sent out?
We've been kind of busy. I'm not
That
aware
the
what.
one on November 11th? Yeah, that was related to an incident outstate, out of like.
Oh, that
Kansas
was
or
a
Missouri.
different one we
That was
investigated. That was a completely different, that's where there's a lot of cross pollination for some folks that are occurring on this. They're putting old posts or letters to today's event. There was one with a deer head, had nothing to do with today. There's all sorts of, that's what I'm saying, please ask us. Because a lot of these, that turned out to be nothing. It was actually in a different school, had nothing to do with Oxford. And we were able to determine that. They sent out the letter and said, there's no threat. Whoop, I got too many. Say that.
There's a lot of people who have been telling us this boy, this 15-year-old, was bullied. Is there anything to lead you to believe that he was having trouble at school, any disciplinary action, anything before today?
We don't have anything on that. Again, we have no contact with that young man, have had nothing to suggest there's been disciplinary or problems with him at the school. So that's part of our investigation to determine what happened prior to this event. And if some signs were missed, how were they missed and why?
Sheriff, you mentioned that you have had no contact with this individual. Can you say if any law enforcement, whether it be Oxford Police, have been to the suspect's home?
I'm not aware any law enforcement agency had any contact or any information that he was a concern or a threat. We have not been told that by any agency. Now, social media says different things, but that's part of the investigation.
At this juncture, has the department or any other authorities received any credible tips in terms of motive or possible warning signs?
Nothing at the moment, no. And he hasn't spoken, and obviously that's the best place to get motive. But he is under a lawyer with his parents' refusal to allow him to talk to us.
What about the victims? Were they targeted?
That charging decision, once we, so I'll back up a little bit. Once we complete the totality of our investigation and wrap up every loose end, that will be presented to the prosecutor for charging determination.
Sheriff, what about the victims? Were they targeted? Was it just totally random?
That will be part of the investigation. Again, we don't know where he went first or why. He didn't tell us. And so we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of hours reviewing the videos of the school to look at his movements, to see if there's any pattern to it or if there's any past history to it. That's all stuff we've got to look into.
You mentioned he came out of a bathroom.
There are no metal detectors. Sorry.
You mentioned he came out of a bathroom. He came out.
I believe that's, no, he didn't come out firing. He came out with a handgun.
Was that seen on surveillance video? Or
Yes.
Someone, okay.
Was the suspect trying to get into classrooms where students are barricaded by pretending to be an officer?
We're told that that's the case. We've obviously got literally thousands of interviews to do. They were in lockdown. That goes to the training. The school district had been trained. The students and teachers had been trained. Going in a lockdown and how you go into lockdown is critically important. One of the things that we brought back to our agency after I got a very detailed debrief on Parkland was what you call the safe portion of a classroom when they're in lockdown that can't be seen. And those kinds of things were all stuff that we taught different school districts. They went into lockdown. I know they barricaded doors. In terms of whether he was doing that, that will be part of what we have to
How
investigate.
brave were those students?
Well, I think everybody was brave in this situation, and they reacted with the training and with the wherewithal that I think saved lives. Tragically, we've had lost lives and we had people very seriously hurt. But again, had there not been intervention by our deputies with 7 rounds in the weapon and the students and teachers locking themselves down and barricading doors, we might be, if it's possible, in a worse situation.
Do we expect the arraignment as early as tomorrow?
It's hard to say. We've got to get enough of the basics done before the prosecutor can make an informed charging decision.
What are the chances the parents could face any charges?
That will all be up to the prosecutor. Ultimately, we're going to present everything, how it played out, and whatever applicable thing I presume they'll charge, we certainly want it charged.
Do you have an anticipated timeline for when the investigation will complete?
I can't even guess. I don't know what they're going to find in the school. I mean, it's going to take a tremendous amount of work to go through the school evidentiary, our forensic, and our crime lab. And it's going to take hundreds of hours to go through videos. And then we have to individually interview everyone that was in the school. And so you can kind of see the Herculean task that is ahead to get it done right.
What is important for the students and the families to do going forward? Because this is traumatic for all of them. What do you want families and students to be focusing on and doing as they're not in school and to process what just happened?
Well, first, reach out for support. If you are in that school or you're feeling trauma, or if you're feeling any kind of depression or anxiety, that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's normal. Ask for help. We've got chaplains available. We have access to counseling and psychiatric assistance. That is normal. We encourage people not to be afraid of seeking help. When you're in a traumatic situation, lots of times you need help forward. So we would encourage them to get that, not shy away from it, talk to their kids about it, what they're feeling, get them the help they need, and let them know that it is normal to feel this way, that it is punishing to be in a situation where you have that danger around you. I've been in a lot of terrible situations and seen a lot of deaths, and it never becomes normal. And if you've never been around it, it's even worse. So that would be my first thing to family and friends. Get help. Don't be afraid to ask. Secondly, again, be aware. If you see something, say something. If you're in any other school or this school, that is our best preventive method, is to share information so that we can send somebody out, even if it sounds implausible. I was mentioning a previous case. One of the cases we interrupted was a 6-year-old that had talked about shooting somebody at school, and another 6-year-old heard it and told their parents. The parents didn't dismiss it and told the school. The school didn't dismiss it and called us. We had deputies that stopped that 6-year-old on the way into a school with a gun. Never dismiss it. We are always much more interested in checking anything out than missing one thing like happened today. It was like 10, 15 years ago. If you remember the case in Flint where the 6-year-old shot and killed someone, it was about a month before that we interrupted one.
How does the level of training that you've done in Oakland County compare to other districts?
I think, I'm very involved on the national level, and I would put Oakland County's cooperative training with police and fire at the top tier of anybody in the country. OCTAC, as I mentioned, was created in response to Mumbai, that we have to better train together so that there's no hiccup and no moment where you have to go, what are you going to do when you go through the door? Okay, I'll go right, you go left. They have to know immediately, hand in glove. We're going in and we're doing this almost dance to immediately go save lives. And we're going to look for that threat, and everything else is secondary. Because every second you wait, that person could hurt another person and another person. So you got to go to the gunshot and you've got to interrupt it. And that's what they did today.
I was actually referring to the training you do with the schools, though, with students and teachers. I've had multiple teachers and students say they got a lot of training
Is that normal for a school district, or do you guys do more in Oakland County?
We try to do more than anybody. And I reach out to them, the school districts, to houses of worship, to businesses. I've even done 2 or 3 at one of the local TV stations, because we believe that training helps you better prepare for the unimaginable. And the other thing I'll say this is, we don't want people to be paranoid or frozen with fear. We want them to be prepared and situationally aware. So what I tell people is, like, when you go into a theater, when you sit down, look to see where exits are other than the one you came in, not just for an active shooter in a theater, which we've seen around the country, but what if there's a fire? What if there's a tornado? What if there's anything? How do you get out? Where do you go? Situationally aware. And training in businesses or in schools gets people better prepared. What if something happens? Where do I go? What do I do? And how do we react? How do you barricade a door? Is this the best room to go to? If you're a teacher with kindergartners, you probably can't run. If you're a teacher on a ground floor with an outside exit and you've got teenagers, running is probably the best thing, because we teach run, hide, fight. If you can get away from it. If you can't shelter in place, protect yourself. If they breach that area, you've got to fight to defend yourself. We teach that constantly, and we offer that constantly and year round. And to my training unit, I'll say, well done.
Does his accuracy of firing that weapon strike you?
It's hard to say until we know the totality of rounds fired. We review the video. I mean, obviously, you don't have to be terribly accurate if you're right next to someone. So we have to review all that.
Was he this close to some of?
We don't know that yet.
As far as you're aware, the father bought guns before, or was this his first purchase? Were there other guns in the home?
That we don't know yet. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff, I know you touched on this earlier about what was discovered, taken, not taken from the suspect's house. There's video potentially of what appears to be guns being taken from the home. Are you aware of that at all?
Again, I haven't got the tally sheet of what was seized, other than I know that things were taken, including we have his phone.
Sheriff, you mentioned a bag that a dog had a hit on. Was that a bag that was believed the suspect carried in that day?
We believe that was his backpack. So more than likely, the weapon was in there, and probably some residual triggered our dog to key on.
Safeguards for, students?
Vast majority of schools in America don't have metal detectors.
Did we hear from perhaps the representative from McLaren, who are able to talk about any of the patients and their injuries without,
I think the sheriff did a very good job of describing all the injuries that.
Want to come over here? Mike's right here.
We had 6 patients that came between the 2 McLaren facilities. McLaren Oakland received 4. 2 were they're stable at this time. 1 was discharged home, and 1 is critical condition. The 2 that we received at Lapeer, it was, as the sheriff described, a shoulder injury, extremity injury that was discharged safely home, and the 14-year-old has been transferred to Hurley PICU for further management and care in a pediatric intensive care.
Dr. Gardner, can you spell your name for us?
TRESSAGARDNER.
The sheriff has talked a lot about his training. Is this what your team also trains for?
Exactly. We're in a partnership together. The quick notification from the sheriff's department initiated the activation of our trauma team. It's a whole cascade for the hospital. We established our incident command. We shut surgeries down, opened up our OR suites, called in our backup surgical teams, activated our ICU, as well as additional nursing staffing. Yes, sir.
Dr. Gardner, based on where we are with COVID, did that and how many hospital beds are being taken up play a role into this at all?
did not play a role today. We had as the spirit of our team at McLaren, the nursing team, the tech team, the physician team, everybody was calling in as an incident command. People were available to come in, and we know the condition that we're in currently. They came in, and I cannot celebrate them enough today. They are parents, they are grandparents, they live in the Oxford community. They were there for the victims today.
Anything else anyone would like to share that we haven't already asked? We obviously appreciate your time.
Any leads on a motive?
Yeah, we as I said, you know, the person that's got the most insight of the motive is not talking. So if we find anything in any of the evidence that we've seized, whether it be a phone dump or any evidence that was seized from the home, obviously that leads towards motive, that will be something we're very much looking for, since we're not getting.
So to clarify, you guys have the suspect's phone and you're searching for evidence.
Yeah, we have a search warrant for both the home and you know, evidence related to this. And certainly that's going to be deep dive our computer crimes unit. The luxury that we have is we have some amazing talent in-house, our computer crimes unit, our forensic, our crime lab. You know, so many different folks are trained and stepped up right now.
Can I add just one thing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. Dave Coulter, Oakland County Executive. First of all, I just want to, I want to say that the residents of this county and this state can be proud of the job that our first responders, starting with our sheriff's department, did today. The work that they did was outstanding. And I can't congratulate them and thank them enough on a really, really difficult day. You know, today, 3 precious teenagers have been taken from us, and another 7 students and a teacher were wounded. But in a larger sense, there are no unwounded students or staff today. Everybody in the Oxford community, the Oakland County, and frankly, the United States has been impacted by this tragedy. Tragedies like this rip away at our security. And a security and a peace that should be rightfully ours in a place like a school. So tonight, I want to first of all say we mourn the senseless loss of life that happened in our county today, the heartbreaking trauma for the 11 families who have been directly affected, and the all too common grief that we've experienced that has befallen our country and right here in Oakland County. I do want to add that the suspect is in Children's Village. For those of you who don't know, that's our juvenile detention facility. So that's separate from the jail. It's actually under Health and Human Services. He's on a suicide watch tonight. So we're checking on him every 15 minutes in a special cell to make sure that there's no self-injury to him. We've operated our emergency operations center all day in support of the lead department, which is the sheriff's department, but we've had people from the health department, the Michigan State Police, public information, ISD, Oakland County Schools. One of the things they've done is help to coordinate what's really going to be a massive effort of offering grief counseling to the students, because there are so many students there and there's only so many grief counselors available. So they've been doing a great job of coordinating those folks as well. So I just, this was a partnership effort on a very tragic and sad day in Oakland County. And our hearts obviously go out to the families, but I want to make sure I also recognize and thank the sheriff and his team for just an absolutely outstanding job today. Thank you.
Can I just say one thing? Sure. Hi, everyone. Representative Alyssa Slotkin. I represent Oxford, Northern Oakland County, along with other areas in the state. And it's just obviously a deeply dark day in Michigan's history. The trend that we've seen all over the country has come to us. We had all hoped that it would not. And it has a special meaning because it's kids. And we all know what it's like to have kids. And we know that it's absolutely a nightmare for those parents who lost children and for all the parents who were fearing for their kids. You heard about 100 911 911 calls. Those were obviously students and teachers from inside those rooms, terrified, calling our first responders. I think people have asked, what can they do? Reach out to anyone. When you know, in the Oxford area, in the Lake Orion area, just show that basic human compassion by reaching out. People need to hear from others right now. And we know that whatever the circumstances end up being with this young man, that this just highlights the deep need for mental health services that we have. In our schools and across the country. And one of the things that sadly I was doing when I was flying back was hearing from all the other members of Congress who have had school shootings in their districts, including Parkland, talking about what we can do to get more resources, what we can do from a federal level. And we're looking into COVID money and whether some of that money that's stuck at the state can be brought in to help with mental health services. If you want to take anything from today's events, I will just say that the law enforcement and first responders, this is not every county that can do what happened today. As someone who worked at the Pentagon and at the CIA, who served in Iraq, this is not every community that can do this. The preparedness that this community had gone through, this law enforcement community, the calm and the training that went on within that school, absolutely, I believe, saved lives. And I think we shouldn't take that for granted. I want to just note on a personal note, this morning, my team was asking me to sign off on a recognition for Under Sheriff McCabe, who was on site and in command during the actual incident today. He is retiring in short order, and I was signing off on his recognition from Congress. I want to give him a special shout out, because to be so close to retirement after over 40 years of service and to be handling this kind of incident, obviously we benefited from his wisdom and from his experience today, and I want to thank him personally, in addition to Sheriff Bouchard, who has done so much to prepare us for, unfortunately, these tragic events. So thank you, and take heart that our community is coming together to support this community of Oxford over the long term.
Other questions?
When can we expect another update?
Really, it's hard to say when the next update was. I think, we wanted to get this as much out as we can, but the more information now as we go a little farther forward, we don't want to jeopardize the case or any details that ultimately will be revealed in court or in any potential prosecution. So it's kind of as needed. Certainly feel free to reach out to us, and we're an open book. We get a hold of you guys a lot at odd hours, and happy to do Zooms and all that stuff.
Will you guys be releasing the names of the victims tonight?
Yes, the deceased, not the injured, because those families have been notified.
The press release will come?
We have a handout.
Okay.
And the other thing, again, I want to highlight, the Congresswoman mentioned, the teamwork and partnership that is super, I think, unique. You're going to get that list of that too. We have a list of the agencies, which we're going to hand out to you, of all the different folks that came. I'm trying to look for it right now. But again, that came after Mumbai and the training and the working together. So this whole list, and then a full nother page of agencies. That many agencies came in a relative short order to augment our 100+ deputies that were there, to staff up to well over 300 on-scene personnel to deal with anything that they came across. Finally, again, just let's pray for the victims, the ones that are wounded, that they heal, and the family and the friends have a way forward with their grief in this not only incredibly tragic time, but also in the midst of a holiday, which tends to punch even harder if it's possible. So thank you for coming.
The boy who died and the officer had put him in a vehicle, did he try to disarm the shooter?
No.
Okay.
He was a victim. He had a GSW and gunshot wound. And the deputy saw that there was such a grievous wound that there was no time to wait, and tried to load him in the car to get them as fast as he could to a hospital. And he expired in the car.
Yeah. How is that deputy doing?
Well, we're going to be checking in with a lot of our team. I mean, you know, having been on a lot of scenes myself, probably the toughest to see is kids. I mean, there's no such thing as a homicide that doesn't affect you and you don't remember the rest of your life. But a kid hits you in a way that I think it was mentioned. Everyone, you know, resonates with a child, that the promise of that young life, and they begin to associate that with their own children or nephews or nieces. And that's one of the challenges, that when we're operating in one of these moments, that we have to block that out and function. But afterwards, that's going to come flooding in. And they're going to wake up or not go to sleep tonight because of that thought. And we're going to make sure that they get what they need.
Is Kate Meyer number 42 on the football team?
I don't know. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
So I don't know what's wrong with the video. I think they're have it paused. So we're just gonna give it a couple of minutes, and if it's not on, then that means it's done, and I will say something about it. So let's wait till 5 to 10 more minutes. And then if it's still not on, we'll possibly like just talk a little bit more, and then we'll close the video out. Okay? Let's go. I will be right back.
We are actively looking for the Omicron variant right here in the United States. Right now, there is no evidence of Omicron in the United States. The Delta variant remains the predominant circulating strain, representing 99.9% of all sequences sampled.
We believe that it is too soon to tell of what the level of severity is. Dr. Walensky and I specifically asked our South African colleagues that on the most recent Zoom call that we had, and they agreed with us that it's too early to tell. They're hoping that it is going to, across the board, give a lower level of severity, but they don't know that right now.
The very day the World Health Organization identified the new variant, I took immediate steps to restrict travel from countries in Southern Africa. But while we have that travel restrictions can slow the speed of Omicron, it cannot prevent it. But here's what it does. It gives us time, to take more actions, to move quicker, to make sure people understand you have to get your vaccine, you have to get the shot, you have to get the booster. If you're, the sooner or later, we're going to see cases of this new variant here in the United States. We'll have to face this new threat just as we faced those that come before it. This variant is a cause for concern, not a cause for panic. We have the best vaccine in the world, the best medicines, the best scientists, and we're learning more every single day. And we'll fight this variant with scientific and knowledgeable actions and speed, not chaos and confusion. In the event, hopefully unlikely, that updated vaccinations or boosters are needed to respond to this new variant, we will accelerate their development and deployment with every available tool. I want to reiterate, Dr. Fauci believes that the current vaccines provide at least some protection against the new variant, and the boosters strengthen that protection significantly. We do not yet believe that additional measures will be needed, but so that we are prepared if needed, my team is already working with officials at Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson to develop contingency plans for vaccines or boosters if needed.
You may have just that one patient with the coronavirus. That come into your facility and you don't know. I can go to work today, wind up feeding them, and then find out 2 hours later, oh, they have that virus. And I'm already been exposed. Nursing assistant CNAs, we're the closest ones. We're the front line.
The work of nursing assistance has always been difficult and low paying. But add coronavirus and it's become dangerous.
Across the country, nurses homes are especially vulnerable.
One elder care facility where 19 residents have died.
In Palo Alto,
In the New Orleans area,
in DuPage County, Sacramento County.
COVID-19 spreading through our most vulnerable population.
We met up with caregivers from nursing homes in Northern California. They attend to the kind of patients who are most likely to die if they get the virus. So can you do your job without touching people or without being close?
It's impossible. Everything is touch.
Bathing, feeding.
Assist them to the restroom.
Brushing the teeth.
Turning.
It's almost like a holding and cleaning at the same time.
Helping nurses with wound care.
Cleaning their ears. Tying their shoe.
We do everything.
You could be feeding that patient or you could be doing something and the patient start coughing. It's too late to turn around. You already done got crap all over you. You know, you just run to the bathroom, wash your face or whatever, and then go about your day. Social distance, can't do it. It's impossible.
If this video were filmed at a different time, you'd be seeing footage of these workers with their patients.
So I guess it did end up ending. So so it looks like this live went to 1 hour and 57 minutes. They won't. They're not going to release the name of the suspect who did this. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say on the behalf of this. So it looks like we can stop screen sharing this. But I don't know. I guess we're just going to end this live because I'm gonna say so the victims, there were a 14-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 17-year-old who all had their lives stripped and didn't get to live. So the rampage at Oxford High School, north of Detroit and Oakland County, was the deadliest shooting on school property this year, according to Education Week, which tracks shootings and has reported 28 of them in 2021. So it looks like there has been a lot within this year. So I don't think I have anything else to say about this. So I guess I'm closest. So make sure y'all share this and make sure y'all tell y'all loved ones how much y'all love them, because you don't know what could happen at any day, any time in their life. Lives get stripped just that quick. So I guess it's the end of this live. So thank y'all for staying tuned. And just try. I don't know what to say at this point. But thank y'all for watching, listening, and this is Prince Glozel signing off. Good night, guys. Oh, and before I close out, please always make sure y'all prevent bullying and stop bullying from happening, because you don't know what's going to be going on in that person's head and what they could be feeling at that moment and what they can do at that moment. So please always make sure to monitor your kids' social medias and watch out for any signs of bullying. Anyways, thank y'all for listening. And again, this is Prince Glozel signing off.